going on, y'all? My name is Timothy Cato III, and this is yet another episode of I Got More to Say. And today, I am joined by a very, 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 very special guest. This man hailing all the way from, I believe it's Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton, New Jersey. This man hailing all the way from Trenton, New Jersey. After he got through Trenton, New Jersey, made it through them rough, mean, tough streets of Trenton, New Jersey, made it all the way to Rider University and graduated with his bachelor's. Then moved on to Michigan State, where he spent another 13 years studying African-American history. He's one of the most genius minds in the subject of African-American history, with a special focus on Black manhood, slavery, Blaxploitation films, Black media, almost everything you can think of regarding Black people. This man sitting to my left can tell you about it. An assistant professor, soon to be full professor, I'm speaking into existence, at Oswego University. Y'all, none other, I am joined by the legendary Dr. Kenneth Marshall, also more fondly known as Dr. M. Dr. M, how are you today?
I am fine. I am happy to be here.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to have you. I've been waiting for this one for a minute.
Yeah. And sorry for dragging it.
No, it's no problem, Dr. M. Great things take time. I had to earn this.
It took us a minute to get it together.
Yes,
but
sir.
We're here.
Yes.
I am happy to be here.
Looking really dapper.
Thank you, brother. And so are you.
Thank you.
Really proud of you.
Thank you, Dr. M.
In terms of what you're doing. I've never been on TV before, so this is... Thank you very much,
yes.
For elevating my profile.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is awesome.
Got you, Dr. M.
This is seriously awesome.
Well, Dr. M, I gave a nice introduction, but of course, I can't tell the full story, the introduction. Dr. M, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do?
About myself?
Yes, sir.
I guess the beginning, I was born on April 9th, 1967 in the French hospital in New York, New York. Shortly after I was born, my mother and I migrated to Trenton, New Jersey, where I was raised. Trenton, as you might have heard, is a serious town.
Very.
I grew up in the crack 80s and 90s. Trenton was mad rough.
The Ronald Reagan era.
I went to public school, and I was in gifted and talented classes. My mother, I have a serious Black mother who really stressed education to my brother Troy and I.
God bless her.
So I focused on going to school. I actually did not like going to school at all because Trenton is rough. The schools were rough. Elementary school was rough. Junior high school was rough. I actually had a hard time in school, especially when I arrived at junior high. Trenton has 5 junior high schools, right? Junior 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I went to junior high school number 3, right? And have you ever seen that movie Lean On Me?
Yes, I have. Well, Morgan Freeman?
Yes. Junior 3 is sort of one of Trenton's version of Lean On Me.
Oh my.
That's how it was. Junior 3 was a hard school to get to. It was, you had the hard rocks, you had the gods and the earths, you had the weed smokers, you had dudes, selling rocks, and Trenton was a beast. And unfortunately, a lot of cats who went to Trenton, who went to Junior 3, were not there to go to school. It was a place to hang out, which meant, of course, right, is that if you were in gifted and talented programs like myself, I'm not going to say I got bullied. Yeah, I kind of got bullied, but you dealt with a certain type of social persecution. Dudes came after you because you were smart, because you were in these gifted and talented classes. And I loathed going to that place. So we lived on what was called the Hill, right, in West Trenton, right? And so Junior 3 was at the bottom of the hill. So you had to sort of run that gauntlet. You had to go down the hill, get to this place, and survive madness. But the real rough part was getting back up on the hill. Because if dudes didn't like you, whatever, be waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? You had to run that gauntlet to get back up on the hill. I despised it. I was a good student. I was not the most brilliant student. Actually, I went to school with some of the most brilliant minds I had known as a youth. I mean, incredibly smart black kids, right? Some of whom fell into the drug game, some of whom died, some of whom became impregnated early and died early. Junior 3 was a rough thing, but it shaped me. It shaped me, right? So by the time I get to college, and I went to predominantly white institutions, Rider University and then Michigan State, a lot of us, a lot of black and brown kids, that when they're in those spaces, they move scared, right? They move scared, right? They're unsure of themselves, right? They're not quite sure if they measure up in terms of their intelligence. That was never my issue. When I was at those places, I moved with no fear because I came from an area and I went to schools that were
Gladiator school.
Were, yes, good term.
Yeah.
They were tough places.
Hard knocks.
Tough places. Yeah. Tough places.
You've been through the gauntlet.
It was a gauntlet. And actually, I'm sort of ahead of the story right quick. And
it's okay. Take your time, Doctor.
I loathed Junior 3 so much. And I have dear friends from there, yes. Right? And so again, I mean, dear people. I mean, I had dear friends there. But again, the outside forces just made it a challenge. So I just want to qualify that. So where we lived up on a hill, right? And so we lived in Trenton, but where we lived is sort of on the edge of West Trenton, and literally that if you cross this street called Parkway Avenue, you're in Ewing Township. Ewing Township is the suburbs. And right up the street was Ewing High School. So as a youth, I'm in survival mode after I graduate from Junior 3. Right? I'm like, what am I going to do? Now imagine if Junior 3 is as rough as it is. Imagine going to Trenton High School where 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 converge together.
Oh, Lord.
And so in my mind, I just ran this gauntlet for 3 years. That's going to be on a whole nother level because not only, again, are there more bodies. I mean, Trenton High School is gigantic, right? Not only are there more bodies, it's on the other end of town. And so for me, I'm going to take 2, 3 buses just to get there to deal with that element. And I had a good friend who is now deceased.
God rest his soul.
That was my dude, and he was kind of in that drug suite, that crack game. His mother moved him out of Trenton to Ewing to get him away, from that element, but he was attracted to it, right? And he couldn't let it go. And so in my calculating mind, right, they live in Ewing Township. So I asked his mother, Miss Brown, I said, straight up, I took this initiative, Miss Brown, is there some way that I could use your address to go to Ewing High? Because it's right up the street. And she respected the fact that, again, I was pursuing education, right? That I stayed in school, that I was a good student. And she allowed my brother Troy and I to use her address to go to Ewing High School. So every morning, we would leave our house, go to her house first, so that in case anybody's watching us, that they would see us leaving her house. This is where we live. and then we would walk on to Ewing High. And Ewing High School was a totally different element from Trenton High. And I had a really positive experience there. And then from Ewing High, I go to Rider College, and where I was a decent student. I was not a very strong student, not because I wasn't smart enough. In that space, right, you know, like college in general, you're trying to find your voice. Yeah. And when I was a Rider, which was hostile to our presence, I was an EOP student, right? And so I was able to go based on my mother's income. I was an EOP student. And so you get stigmatized because you're an EOP student, right? Because, you know, you're broke, you know, and I became a campus activist. I was the campus activist during my 5 years there, because it took me 5 years to get out of there. I was part of student government for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. And I was a force on that campus. I got things done in that campus. And when I say that I move with force, I move with force. I had the backing of the Student Government Association, and I was able to get things done, get us scholarships, bring certain music groups to campus, which would not have come otherwise. I did a lot of good work there. And then from there, I go to Michigan State. And Michigan State, my 12 years at Michigan State is a conversation, it's a story in and of itself. I lived like 3 distinct lives out there. That's for real.
Yes, sir. Now, Dr. M, thank you so much for sharing your story. Where is Rider University located, actually?
Rider University is located in Lawrenceville.
Lawrenceville, New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay.
And what's deep about Rider, right? So I didn't have an exit strategy after high school. I was a good student in high school. I think I finished in the top 8% of my graduation class. And so high school. Okay. And again, and Ewing High is a solid school, right? So I was a really, really, really good student. But, you know, there was no one in my family to sort of direct me to college. Like, how does one go to college? I didn't have that. But my guidance counselor, Mr. Bolden, I never knew his first name, Mr. Bolden, you know, who was black. You know, like when you have to meet your guidance counselor at some point, and so they ask, so what are you going to do? What do you want to do? I don't know, Mr. Bolden. Maybe college, but I don't know how to go to college. Maybe the Air Force. I thought about the Air Force. I thought about going into the Air Force. I didn't know. And he had me fill out some forms. And I'm not even sure to this day what I was signed. He had me fill out some forms. And I remember at lunch, this is like, you know, this is at the end of the school year, right? I'm about to graduate soon. Maybe in a month or so, I'm going to graduate. I have no exit strategy, right? And as you've heard me say, right, you know, in class, you cannot leave this place without an exit strategy. And so I don't have an exit strategy. And so I played varsity football, and I was good, not great. And our team won states that year. Okay. And so a bunch of us are at the table.
Ewing High won states.
Ewing won the states, okay. Group 3.
Group 3, okay.
And so a bunch of us are at the, you know, are having lunch. We're in the lunchroom, and dudes are saying what they're doing, right? I'm going to this school. I'm going to that school. Literally, it's like we're going down the line, right? Dudes are saying what they're, and I don't have anything to say. And when it was my turn to speak, basically, right? Mr. Bolden, right? Big black man, right? He's off to the distance, and he yells through the door, "Ken, Rider said they'll take you." And when it was my turn to speak, I said, "Yeah, that's where I'm going. Wow. I'm going to Rider College." I had never seen it. I said, "That's where I'm going."
And you didn't even know you applied to it.
I wasn't even sure what I was signing. So apparently, like, I was applying to Rider College. And he said, Ken, Rider will take you. And I'll never forget that. And didn't know I'm going there. And
In the middle of you talking.
straight up. No, it was my turn to speak. And I didn't have anything to say. And he comes out of nowhere and says that. And so everybody's like, okay, all right, I guess Ken's going to Rider. No one knew what Rider was. And what's so great about Rider College? Rider College. So Rider College is a suburb of Trenton. Rider College is probably 10 minutes away from where I grew up. And so, right, when you're in the EOP program, you have to take summer classes before fall semester starts, right? Because they're going to prep you to get ready. And so, I think the summer session was like, I forget, maybe like 8 weeks or something like that, right? That where you live in the dorms on campus and then you go to camp, class. And I remember packing my bags. I'm going away to college. I'm going away.
And Rider's D1.
No, I think it might be. It's not one. Okay. Or it's no. Rider doesn't go to the NCAA tournament.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry, you're packing your bags?
Yeah, so I'm packing my bags and I'm going away. So I'm thinking that we're going to be on the road for maybe, for a minute, maybe an hour. And sit back and enjoy this ride. And so my brother Troy is going with me. He a little swole. You know what I'm saying? Like Kenny think he nice because he going to college.
Are you older? Or is Troy older?
I'm older.
Oh, you're older, okay.
I'm older.
Okay.
We have separate biologicals. That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we're in the car. So Troy, my mother, and I, so yes, they're going to drop me off at Rider. And we're in the car. And it might have been Troy. I think it's right there. And I looked at it. And I was so hurt. I was like, oh my God. And he's in the car clowning. Oh, he didn't go anywhere. It's right there. Oh my God.
Oh, Lord.
I was so swole. My feelings were so hurt. So there's the drive. So mom's like, so we go through the gate, find my dorm. Okay, yeah, see you tomorrow. I don't know what they said. It was
be home for dinner.
My feelings were so hurt. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh man!
Oh my God, yo! So
you thought you was going far away? It was a 10-minute drive.
I was getting out, son. I thought I was leaving that piece. You know what I'm saying? And it's like right there. You know what I'm saying? I was so hurt. And so, but in retrospect, I'm grateful for that, right? Because although I lived that close to home, although I had access to moms, right? All the moms would have washed my clothes, right, and would have hooked me up with food, and and give me some money, and all of that, right? I'm very thankful that, right, I stayed there. And although that I was that close to Trenton, I mean, sometimes that I would dip out and get haircuts, right? Because back in the day, I had some of the freshest waves in the city. You know what I'm saying? That's long gone.
You was spinning,
I'm
Doc
telling
Dell?
you, I had some ill waves back in the day. Son.
Man, let us find out, Doc Dell.
I had some ill waves back in the day. I'm telling you, make you sick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm serious.
Yeah, me too, but you see what happened.
You know what happens.
You see what happened.
Poof.
Yeah.
Genetics. You know what I'm saying? Genetics. They're gone. And my kids don't believe me. You didn't have no waves. I'm like, son.
Man. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
Yeah, it's very true. You know what I'm saying? But no, but again, I'm thankful, right, is that, so I had the college experience. Very rarely did I go home, especially after the first year.
Yeah.
Right? I stayed there. Like during breaks and whatever, you go home. But for the most part, I was able to have the campus experience with the comfort of knowing that, right, mom's house is like
10
right
minutes
there.
up the street.
It's like literally 10, 12 minutes away. So yes, and so that helped me to get through. It did not prepare me for Michigan State. That's a whole other thing. The Michigan State thing was interesting. Because again, I was this really fierce, serious campus activists, which meant for me that my schoolwork was kind of secondary. So my campus activism was actually respected by numerous faculty, right, who also wanted things to change on campus. And several of whom were willing to wrote me very strong letters of recommendation for graduate school. Only applied to one school, and that was Michigan State. And even that was by chance. I was
You only applied to one grad school?
one grad school, Michigan State, only one. And again,
Me too.
And again, so you'll be all right. And so
I appreciate you knocking down.
and it was at the end of spring semester. I'm about to graduate, and again, I don't have any clear exit strategy. Okay, but so I was a history major. I'm not sure if I said that, but this professor who was in the communications department knew about my campus activism, and he knew about this comparative Black history program at Michigan State. Right? He had a friend, another professor, who knew about this program. And so this professor says to me, Ken, would you be interested in going, would you be interested in applying for this program? My grades weren't solid, you know what I'm saying? So I applied, and I asked professors for letters of rec, and they, to this day, I'm thankful, right? Because none of us get to where we want to go with that help, right? And these professors, right, they knew that I had the academic acumen, you know what I'm saying, to do the work, but it wasn't my focus. But my activism also shaped me when I was at Michigan State. But anyway, and they wrote me solid letters. And one day, this professor from Michigan State, who was the head of the graduate program there, he calls me out of the blue one day. And he is now deceased. His name was Dr. Harold Marcus. He's a white man who was a prominent scholar in Ethiopian history. And so
That's deep.
So Dr. Marcus, I thought was Black because he had this Barry White type voice when he spoke.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited. So I'm talking to this brother. I'm talking to this brother on the phone, and I have to kind of sell myself to him, right? So, so.
That's the name of the game?
Yes. And so he's like, so your grades, I know, are not strong, but your letters are strong. And actually, I would learn from one professor who wrote me a letter years later. This professor wrote in his letter, Ken Marshall is feared on campus. That's what he wrote in his letter, straight up. He said he's feared on campus, right? That I was a mover and a shaker as a campus activist. And so Dr. Marcus made it happen. He got me in. And so I'm going to Michigan State. The only thing I knew about Michigan State, and this is gonna sound crazy, that it was in Playboy magazine's top 20 party schools at the time or something like that. That's the only thing that I knew. Okay. And that Magic Johnson went there. That's the only thing I knew. But I get to move on, right? And so after I graduated, I worked at a cardboard factory in Trenton, which this factory made cardboard, sheets of cardboard. It's called Union Camp. So I work in Union Camp, and I got pretty nice hands, you know what I'm saying, for a cat. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. And my hands are getting sliced up because I'm handling cardboard all summer, right? And I kind of forget about Michigan State because I'm working in this factory. And maybe like a week before the semester begins, my mother and I run around, get me a duffel bag, get me some clothes, get me some toiletry, the things that you need to take with you. I had never seen the place. I had never visited the place.
Never even heard of it. East Lansing.
I never heard of it, And so, right, she drops me off at Newark Airport. No, let me back up. So when the cats at Union Camp, these old timers, they're Black and white, right? Who've been there for a minute. And as, you know, and so they know, right, that I'm leaving, right? And so they're like, young blood, we don't want to see you back here. I'm like, all right, no, you don't understand. And this one older brother says, no, you're not listening to us. You can't work here no more. You can't come back here no more. I don't want to see you back here no more. You don't belong here. That's what he said. You don't belong here. When you get there, this comes from this dude. He says, when you get there, you do everything you have to do to stay there. You don't come back here no more. I'm like, all right. Because he was telling me I had an opportunity to transform my life that he didn't. And he's like, you don't come back here and work. And he said it with love, but also with a certain type of conviction. I think that if that man ever saw me again in life, he would probably body me up because, you know, he didn't want to see me again. He's like, if I see you again, then you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So I don't ever want to see you again. Good luck in school. Do what you got to do. So my mom and I get my things together. I fly out to East Lansing. Dr. Marcus, Harold Marcus, who I think is a brother, you know what I'm saying, going to pick me up at Lansing Airport. I get to Lansing Airport. It's the tiniest airport ever. I'm like, okay. And I'm waiting for Dr. Marcus. I'm here. I can't believe it. I'm at the Lansing Airport, right? I'm in a master's degree program, right? And I'm waiting for Dr. Marcus. I'm waiting for this brother. And this kind of roundish white man with this kind of white afro comes up to me. You must be Ken Marshall because you look lost. And he extends his hand. I'm Dr. Marcus. In my mind, I'm like, oh.
You can say it if you like. You can say it if you like, Doctor.
Oh, shit. No. Oh, my God.
You say he look like Einstein?
No. You know what's crazy? You ever see that Christmas cartoon, that old school Christmas cartoon, I think in the 50s, with the Miser brothers, with Heat Miser and Cold Miser?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, man, you young, you mad young. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So, forget that reference.
The 50s was like 40 years before
Yeah.
me, Doctor.
Okay. But it's played now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Christmas was rough.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you are grown, man, so you not watch Christmas cartoons. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so, oh, snap. He takes my bag. He had this fly white sports car. The top was down. I get in the car, throw my bag in there. Beautiful sunny day. So we off. Then we get to campus, right? He's like, that's the library. I'm like, wow. That's the Union. The Michigan State is a beautiful campus.
Yeah, heard it's huge.
Lush greenery, lush green, beautiful buildings. This, that building. And he drops him, and so he drops me off at it's called Owen Graduate Center. Basically like a big dorm where graduate students and lots of Asian students also tend to live there. He drops me off, right? And I'm here. So I'm in this tiny room. I'm in this tiny room, got my duffel bag, I'm looking out. I can't believe I'm here. But I'm hungry. But now I'm hungry. Maybe it's like 3 o'clock. And when Dr. Marcus leaves me, because I think this is probably a Friday or Saturday, he says, find me on Monday. He doesn't give me a map, nothing. Find me on Monday. But I'm here. So now I'm hungry. And so I go to the front desk and I ask the receptionist, is there some place around here where I can get something to eat? Is there like a Burger King around here? She said, oh, yeah. And so she said, go up Bogue Street. You know what I'm saying? Because this dorm was on Bogue Street. She said, just walk straight up Bogue Street. And when you get at the end of Bogue, because Bogue intersects with Grand River Avenue, that's the main drag on campus. She says, to your right, Burger King is down the street. So I'm going to get myself a Whopper. So I'm walking down Bogue Street. And campus is alive. This is a Big Ten university. Ryder probably had a school population, maybe 4,000, something like that. It was minuscule. Michigan State, think it's like 55,000. No, 40,000. I think it's
large.
40,000.
It's huge.
It's a city. I mean, again, without the university, East Lansing doesn't exist as a city.
Yeah, it's the capital of Michigan, right?
Lansing is.
Yeah.
Lansing is the home of Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? So I'm walking. So I get to Bogue Street. I get to the end of Bogue Street. I'm looking for the the Burger King. And this white pickup truck. I'm sorry, not white. This blue pickup truck stops at the red light in front of me. It's the blue pickup truck, and there's 3 white dudes sitting in the front seat. I never quite seen that before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I got you back there. You know what I'm saying? I never seen that before. You know what I'm saying?
No, that is some country shit. I was way deep in Georgia when I first seen that bush.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
Sitting
saying,
knee to knee in the front of a truck.
I never seen that. I'm like, okay. So the dude on the passenger side, as the truck is pulling off, he had his arm on the thing, and he says very casually, "Nigger," and it drove off. I hadn't been in that town an hour and a half. Drove. And I'm like, yo, did he just say what I think I heard he say? And he said that this catch is like,
And just drove off.
but they didn't even peel out either. They was like, this, you know what I'm saying? They just drove
Moseyed
casually,
on
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I dare you to ride,
Do something.
boss up, whatever. So I found the Burger King. I'm eating my Whopper. I'm eating my fries. Down to my soda. And I'm wrapping my head around what has happened. And by the time I finish eating, I'm like, bet, okay. It's going to be that place against me. It's me against them. Bet.
You already in war mode.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That took me out of the happiness, the sunshine, you know what I'm saying? All the, you know what I'm saying? The beautiful women and the happiness. The drums are in the background. You know what I'm saying? The band is getting ready. I mean, it's this environment is unbelievable, and I'm there. But instantly, in that moment,
the warfare.
Yeah. It's going to be me. It's going to be me against this place, and that's literally what my graduate career was. Warfare. Straight up. It was me against me, right? Because although they bring you there, you're not necessarily welcome, right? You have to fight to stay there. You have to run the gauntlet to stay there, right? I mean, who am I, right? I don't have high, a really high GPA. I don't come with any accolades, right? I am a body to put in this program that's brand new. That's what I was. So if I sink or swim, I don't think they really care, right? But they could say, right, that we gave this young African-American man a shot, right? I was just a body. And I did whatever it took. And I gotta I did whatever it took to get those degrees. I was a solid student. In some ways, I was a brilliant student. I mean, before I graduated, I got published in the top journal in my field, Slavery and Abolition, which is a journal based out of England. So I'm already, I'm published in a journal that some professors can't get published in. So, I'm that kind of student. And I got resistance. I got resistance in part because I wouldn't play the game that they want you to play when you get there. That you have to be humble, you have to be meek, you have to be ingratiating, right? You have to, play the role of obsequience. I'm from Trenton. I'm black. I'm male. I'm urban. I come out of fire. That's how I moved at that place. I moved with force. I move with strength. And that, and I think people, black professors and white, had a hard time with me, right? Because I wasn't scared. I was not afraid of them. I'm like, they didn't know me. You don't know where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? I grew up, again, Trenton, T-Town, crackheads running down the street, you know what I'm saying, cats, dipping their weed in embalming fluid and, smoking it, peanut head little dudes, you know what I'm saying? And these dudes are not tough. These cats are not tough. But now, same dude that you could take in a fight, now he's driving a Jetta car. He got an automatic weapon, you know what I'm saying? To his right? He got, you know what I'm saying? Packages of crack vials, and he's daring you. He's just daring you to even look at him sideways, and he coming for you. I had to navigate those dudes. So by the time I get to Michigan State, y'all are the least of my concerns. You are obstacles that I need to get by. And they knew that's how I perceived them. I wasn't disrespectful, right? But I had this kind of urban, northern, black male, sort of defiance about me. I moved, right? You're supposed to move quietly, not with strength. I moved with strength as a young dude right out the box, right? And I remember taking my first graduate seminar, right? Because graduate school is interesting in that, right? This class meets once a week. That your professor gives you maybe a book, maybe 2, maybe 3 books, and you have a week to read them. And there might be 10, 12 people in that class. And when class assembles, you all sit at the round table, and it's every man and woman for themselves, right? It becomes like a battleground of intellect in terms of what you read, right? And so the first time I'm in class, right, my first class, right, no books have been assigned yet. Show up to the class, and these people are using language I had never heard before. I'm like, marginalization, contextualization. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Words I had never heard before. I had to do my Malcolm thing, right? When Malcolm goes to prison, right? And Malcolm basically, writes out the entire dictionary. He starts with the A's and goes to the Z's. I think he starts with the word aardvark. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I was, I was reading the dictionary. I was trying to understand these terms, right? And I was and I made sure that I was prepared to deal with those people. But yeah, I got a lot of pushback because I was smart and I knew it, and because I was not afraid of them. And if you move that way, even if you're the smartest student, you don't necessarily get TA-ships, right? You don't get funding, or maybe not as much, right? So because I was who I was, because I was going to be my own man regardless, I got passed over for things, especially in terms of grants and things like that. I got passed over. And I'm from Trenton. I know how to survive. When I tell you that I was grimy at that place, I can't even tell you all the things I did. Right now, I can tell you this one thing. There's this one certain main chain, it could be Rite Aid, it could be CVS, it could be one of those places. I would have me out a list. This is what I need today. I need some lotion, right? I need some pre-shave. I need some bump stopper. I need whatever. You know what I'm saying? I would have it on my list, and I would go shopping with no money. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. That's how grimy I was.
Oh, man.
And so that was
Shopping with no money, doctor?
no money. I went shopping with no money.
Damn.
That's how I was, yo. And I was just in that. I did whatever it took. I hung out with people I had no business hanging out with. People of ill repute. I did whatever it took to get those degrees. Yeah, and listening to Black Moon in my ears. You know what I'm saying? You ever hear Black Moon?
No, I have not.
You've never heard. Have you ever heard of Buckshot Shorty?
Yes, I have.
So Buckshot Shorty is part of Black Moon.
Black Moon, okay.
And Black Moon is part of the gangster era of rap. And what's interesting, right, is that when I get to Michigan State, right, in the fall of 1991, that's essentially the launching point, right, for like the next era in rap, and that's gangster music. And Black Moon, you never listened to Black Moon?
Nah, not that I can remember.
Get Money, Black Smith and Wesson, Buck 'em Down. You never heard of that before?
I'm not familiar, doctor. I need to do my research.
Kato, you need to, yo.
I
would put Buckshot Shorty, you're right, because back in the day, right, you still rocking the Walkman back in the day, right? You know what I'm saying?
Your cassette?
Yeah, you got the walk. You put the Walkman on your ears, put the Walkman on your ears, and listen to Buckshot Shorty, buck down, buck down, buck down. I mean, this is fierce music, right?
For sure.
And that album and some others, right, became like my battle music. So, right, Buckshot Shorty talks about how he does this, how he does that. He's super grimy, you know what I'm saying? How he's all that. And I internalized all of that. I kind of looked at myself as like the Buckshot Shorty at graduate school. That's how I moved. And I got this music in my ears, right? And I'm all that. In the classroom, in the library, walking the yard, playing basketball, going to the club. I was that dude in my head. I was not going to allow you to check me, to hold me. In my mind, I'm the flyest, the baddest, the illest dude in all the spaces that I rocked. And that's how I perceived myself. That's how, again, hip hop in a sense. And, in certain Black Moon songs was like my sort of battle manifesto. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how I rocked. Graduate school was straight up warfare, as far as I was concerned.
Nah, Doc, damn, it's real full circle to hear you talk about this, because you would mention it in class when I was your student. Well, I'm gonna always be a student. But, when I was actively your student, you would always talk about how real graduate school was for you. You mentioned going shopping with no money. But, you never ever really, and I think you did mention, your first experience there as far as with racism at Michigan State. But, you never ever went into it with this amount of detail. Like, so many things make sense now after hearing that, and I appreciate you for being so open and transparent. Dr. M, I can go a lot of ways with this. I mean, you segued it beautifully to hip hop, but just because I do want to talk about, what you've done as far as, like your teaching career, because once you left Michigan State, you've had an excellent teaching career that is not going to do nothing but continue elevating. But I wanted to ask Dr. M, why history?
Why history?
Yeah, I feel like I can't talk about hip hop with you without talking about why history and why Black history, why African American history, dating all the way back to pretty much since we got here off the boat. Yeah, why history?
It kind of goes back to Ryder. I mean, it does go back to Ryder. When I was an undergraduate, I was initially a communications major and an art minor.
Okay.
Because in the Trenton school system, I was actually recognized as one of the most talented artists I could draw. That's what I do best is draw.
Oh wow.
And so I was going through all of my sort of old things, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I have all these certificates and all these plaques for my artwork. But I quickly learned in graduate school that I wasn't going to make a living or have any sort of career as an artist, right? So I knew that I would have to maybe shift change out my minor to something else. And I took my first ever Black history class with a white professor, because there were no black professors, well, maybe one, but he wasn't in history. I took my first ever Black history class with a white professor named Roderick McDonald, who basically specialized in Caribbean slavery. So I'm taking my first ever Black history class with Dr. McDonald, right? And so have you ever heard of the singer Sting?
Yes.
And so Dr. McDonald at that point kind of had that look. He had these circle glasses.
Oh, wow.
This sort of wiry, sort of stringy hair. He always wore a white shirt, black leather jacket, blue jeans, and white sneakers. That was his outfit. That was his uniform.
Okay.
And so I'm watching this dude, and I'm watching this white dude teach a Black history class. And he's telling me things. Some of the things were basic that I did not know. And I'm sitting in his class. He inspired me. He empowered me. But I also felt ashamed that how can he know these things about my history, my people, and I don't. And he was a brilliant teacher. I took that class with him, and I changed my major. So now,
Really?
So now I became a history major and a communications minor, and got rid of the art thing completely. And that's because of him, right? And you know, and I had to write a paper for him about slavery, and he mentioned New Jersey. Now, I'm a product of the Trenton, New Jersey school system, and never once had anybody told me that slavery was a serious institution in Jersey. No one ever told me that. I had to go to college and have this white dude tell me that there was serious slavery in New Jersey. Yeah. And I just felt betrayed by my whole educational experience. I felt betrayed. So now I'm in the stacks. I'm in the library. I'm in the stacks, and I'm finding these books. And one book in particular that stuck out to me, it was called, it was a documentary. No, it was a sort of, how do I explain it? It was a book of documents about slavery in Jersey, right? It was a documentary history, basically. And the scholar's name was Clement Alexander Price. So the book was titled Freedom Not Far Distant, A Documentary History of Afro-Americans in New Jersey, something like that. And it came out in 1980. And in this book, I'm looking at the primary sources, runaway slave advertisements. I'm seeing newspaper accounts of the 1734 slave uprising in Somerville, New Jersey, which led to a whole bunch of cats getting executed, burned at the stake, and everything else. And I'm reading these documents. I'm like, oh my God. And again, I was empowered, but I felt ashamed too. So the light bulb in terms of history, I took another class with another professor, and I think I told you about him. His name is Charles Richardson. And Charles Richardson, he was a nice guy, an elderly gentleman, stately looking, thin, tall, right? He had his tweed jacket with the patches, bow tie. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That if you colored his face brown, like he looked like that he was in the Nation of Islam or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So he had this immaculate look about him. And again, so I'm taking this course on Western civilization. Right?
And this is still at Rider?
At Rider. And so I'm taking this course on European history, basically. I have no interest in it. I have no interest in it. But I'm taking notes. Got to pass the man's class. And he was a good teacher. He didn't inspire me. He didn't empower me. He had a stutter. Charles Richardson, Dr. Richardson, stuttered.
Oh my.
And what was interesting about that is that at that time I was really struggling with my own stutter, which I still deal with today.
I've never noticed
and so I'm a natural stutterer. And so that goes back to my childhood. My wife thinks that my rather traumatic upbringing is why I stuttered beginning as a youth, even to this day. And I basically sort of taught myself to speak around my stutter, if that makes any sense. So
Certainly.
like I never had any training. It's just something I taught myself.
But if I may, sorry to just interject, you did a hell of a job. I never noticed it, ever.
Oh yeah, big time stutter.
Never noticed it. Even we sit in class, like I never said, Dr. M stutters a lot. I never
Oh
said
yeah,
that.
big time.
Yeah. Well,
Big
you've trained your mind to step around it beautifully. Please
Yeah,
continue, I'm sorry.
and what's crazy, as my mind is speaking, right? And so as I'm speaking, the one's mind works with your mouth.
Yes.
And as I'm speaking, my mind is working with me, and so my mind knows that as I'm speaking, I'm coming to a certain word that I'm going to have a problem with, and so my mind allows me to, go around it.
Okay.
And I literally just sort of taught myself that.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah, thank you.
Were you saying that this professor has a stutter?
He stuttered.
Yeah.
And that was stunning to me. So I'm looking at this dude, right? Because when you go to college, right, as you've heard me say, right, you don't go to college, in my opinion, you don't go to college to get a job.
No.
You go to college, in my opinion, to become transformed,
Yes.
right? Meaning that you leave college a fundamentally different person than when you came.
For sure.
Right? Again, that you think differently, right, about your place in this world, right? You think differently about your future. You think differently about, the people with whom you associate. Again, your mind and your body after college to operate in different spaces than prior to your arrival. And so I'm taking this man's class. He's a good teacher. He's boring.
Yep.
He stutters. And I'm watching, but then I'm like, he's clean. You know what I'm saying? He's clean.
Yeah.
He's clean. I'm like, look how my man is dressed. He's wearing his tweed jacket, his bow tie. He stands behind a podium. He has an audience of kids who are literally writing down everything he says, right? Again, okay, this class meets twice a week. Which means that what is he doing for like the other days of the week? I know that he has other classes, but we only see him twice a week. And the light bulb went off in my head. Pah, I can be him. Watching that particular professor, the light, pah, I can be him. I can be him. I can be the professor. But I would do it differently. I would look differently. I would say it differently. I would have a different message. I could possibly have a different impact. Kenneth Marshall could be Dr. Richardson. That's what it became clear to me. It became clear to me that I was never going to make my mark in this world singing, dancing, rapping, playing sports. It wasn't going to happen for me. I was a decent athlete, you know what I'm saying? Not good. I could dance a little bit. I can't sing or rap at all. You know what I'm saying? But I could do what he's doing. I looked at him. I just did the math, right? Yeah. Now, not knowing what it would take to become him, because clearly that man, he had to work to be where he is. But I saw myself in him. I envisioned myself as Dr. Richardson, standing behind a podium talking to young people. I'm like, Ken, do you understand? I'm talking to myself, in his class, after his class, Ken, and do you understand the impact that you can have, right, standing behind that podium? That's when I became interested in history. That's why I chose history as a profession, because going to graduate school, although it's a predominantly white environment, this, that, and the third, and as the kids like to say, I found my voice, I found my path. And so when my Oswego students complain about how white Oswego is and how problematic Oswego is, oftentimes I don't want to hear it, because I'm like, you have to look for transformation in every class you take. Because who would have, again, it wasn't Dr. McDonald. It wasn't the cat, who again is teaching me about Black history for the first time, who let me know that I could be a history professor. It wasn't him, it was this other cat it was him.
That was boring.
Yeah, straight
had
up.
a stutter, hard
I'm
to
like,
listen to.
that dude right there. I want to be him. And while I'm at graduate school, right, you're sort of, while you're taking those classes, taking your comprehensive exams, while you're toughing it out, you are kind of imagining what kind of person you'll be as a professor, right? And I guess I will digress for a moment here. You've heard of blaxploitation cinema, right?
Yes.
And you heard of the movie Shaft, right?
Of course, one of my favorites.
So when I was in graduate school, right, I didn't have any dollars, right? I was broke.
Yep, I relate.
So I knew about blaxploitation movies growing up, but I began to collect them in graduate school because they were cheap entertainment. I would go to the local mall. There was this store called Suncoast Video, and it would sell all these blaxploitation movies for like $9.99. Even I can buy, you know what I'm saying, one of these movies from time to time. And by the time I left graduate school, I had amassed this large collection. I got like this large collection of blaxploitation movies. And my favorite movie, Shaft, right? Shaft, the turtleneck, the leather, the shoes, kind of like what I'm wearing now.
The song,
all of that. And pretty much, I'm like, that's the dude. When I'm at the height of my game, I'm saying that when I'm at the height of my game, I'm going to be the Shaft of academia. This is how like a young cat speaks to himself, right? I'm going to be the Shaft of academia. It didn't start out that way when I first started teaching. Again, I was shirt and tie, and eventually I evolved into my current aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? But how I dress now is straight up Shaft. You know what I'm saying? Because I just love the clothes, the swagger, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm walking to class sometimes at Oswego, I feel the theme music in the background, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's how I am. And by the time I open my mouth, I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm like drop you. That's just literally how I am. So that's history. So yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Damn, I respect.
You know what I'm saying? That's just how I am, yo. So,
I hear you.
Yeah, but watching that cat, yo, I'm like, I'm gonna be him, but different.
Nah, I hear you,
I said
Doctor.
straight up. I'm like, again.
I'm gonna be the Shaft of
You know what I'm saying?
academia.
And when you have that vision, right, and you're sitting, you know what I'm saying? So you're sitting in your seat and like you kind of jump up a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, I found it, son. Right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, so you could barely sit down. And maybe Dr. Richardson maybe looked at me kind of crazy because I want to say, I'm coming for you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Flat out, that's all. I'm coming for you.
Sure,
You know what I'm saying? And you ain't going to be ready for me when I get there, too.
There,
you know what I'm saying? Straight up.
Hey, Doctor.
That's my whole mentality.
For real?
That's been my whole mentality through my 17 years in school. My whole mentality as a professor. I'm coming for you. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You know, that's Black Moon. That's Buckshot Short. You know what I'm saying? Flat out. Buck them down. I'm coming for you, son. You know what I'm saying? That's straight up. You know, so in some mindset, yo.
Yeah. So Shaft is the look and the mindset.
Yeah, flat out, yo.
I respect.
And actually, Richard Roundtree died not that long ago. Surely, maybe 2 months ago, if that? It hurt me to my heart when that man passed. I couldn't believe that. I think he was 76 or something like that. I think. So, no, I'm sorry. No, that's not him. Carl Weathers. Have you ever heard of Carl Weathers?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, you know, who plays Apollo Creed in Rocky?
Yes, he just died.
Yeah, he just died. He was 76.
Yeah.
Maybe Richard Roundtree was a little older. You know, and so, yeah, those cats. Yeah, I mean, I'm this.
I respect the Doctor.
This dude, that's just who I am.
Okay.
I'm coming
for
you.
And you know what, Doctor? You definitely live up to that. More than live up to it. Yeah. For sure.
You know,
you live up to it in more than one way.
how do I, thank you for saying that. I did not have a lot of positive black male role models growing up. I'm not gonna front. My biological father, no, he's not my father. My biological, that's what I call him. My biological, he's alive. He lives in New York, New York. He's in Manhattan. He's been in the same part. I think it's the Village. I think the East West Village forever. He's been there. I have no recollection of seeing him, none. So when I told you, right, that my mother and I, we left New York when she was 19, right? And not to get into all of my family drama.
No, Doctor.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
if this provides your healing, get it out, Doctor.
But she felt that he was not ready to be a father.
Yep.
This other man who lived in Trenton, who had loved my mother since high school, he said that he wanted to marry her and that he would take care of me. And so how this happens, right, is that my mother, right, and so my peoples are from South Carolina.
Yep.
And over time, right, my aunties gradually, and I mean, like, I have a lot of aunties and uncles. They eventually, most of them eventually leave the South and they migrate north. And so my mom eventually, right, did the same thing. And she lived with one of her sisters in a very small apartment in Brooklyn. And so I'm living in Brooklyn, growing, as baby.
Yeah.
I'm in Brooklyn. And, she didn't think that my mother didn't think that there was any commitment from the biological, that who she met in the city.
Were you born in Brooklyn? Were you born in New York?
Yes, in French Hospital in Manhattan.
Manhattan. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so, that's when we left Trenton, and so I was at my mother and my father's, right, wedding, right, because your father is the dude who raises you.
Yes.
Not the cat who necessarily makes you.
Makes you, for
It's
sure.
the dude who raises you. And so I was at my mother and father's wedding. I'm like 1 year old. I'm there, right? And that marriage, turbulent 15-year marriage, turbulent, just turbulent.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that went down that does not go down in a healthy household,
Sure.
right? And so my parents split when I was 15, which left me angry and bitter at the world. And sad to say, I have a personal history of black men failing me, this straight up, this failing me, right? But I've never wanted to use that as a crutch. What I've done for both the biological as well as my father, because there was problems there too, and the long and the short of it, he raised me, but I wasn't his son. You know what I'm saying? In order to get my mother, he had to accept me. And that was difficult sometimes, right? Right? Because when Troy comes along, right? That's
Your little brother?
Yes, that's
his father.
Right? And so there's static in the household over who's not going to be who when they grow up type of thing. It's like crazy. My parents going back and forth, and I just felt, long story short, right, is that my father was not very supportive of my academic endeavors. For whatever reason, the support wasn't there. But instead of sort of dwelling on that, you know, I use it as fuel. I really have. I really have used, if you will, the you know what I'm saying, the sort of lack of fatherly presence, if you will, the lack of fatherly support. I've used it as fuel. And what I mean by fuel is that, okay, bet, you don't want to be in my life, you don't want to accept me, you don't want to support me in school, cool. I'll do it despite you. Not only am I going to do it despite you, I'm going to go places in this life that you never dreamed of. They gave me fuel. That's how I looked at it. So I can't even tell you, honestly, that if I am who I am, if I'm not rejected in that way. I use it as fuel, right? My favorite athlete growing up was Julius Erving, Dr. J. I can never be Dr. J as an athlete. I'll be Dr. J in the classroom. Hence, Dr. M. Dr. M is from Dr. J.
Really?
100%. I'm trying to keep straight face too, straight up. I couldn't be that dude again playing ball. I could be that dude in front of you. I could be that dude. That's where it comes from. Straight up.
Wow, I never.
And so my firstborn son, his name is Julius. I named him after Dr. J. Yeah, Julius Marshall. You know what I'm saying? So I've also, you know, so on the one hand, right, you know, black men have come up short, but on the other hand, I've also used them for fuel. I've used them to help me get to where I want to be. And so a couple years ago, the Dr. M thing started when I was at Worcester State College. I just started calling myself that. I'm like, you know, and so you heard it, right? And so on the first day of class, I'm introducing myself. My name is Dr. Kenneth Marshall. This is what I do, but I really like Dr. M, because that's sexy, that's fly, that makes me feel really good, you know what I'm saying? I say it all the time. I say it all the time.
I never forget it in class. I'm not no damn mister.
No, I'm not.
The guy who fixes your raggedy ass car is a mister.
Yes.
The guy who checks your ass out at the grocery store is a mister. Hey, no disrespect to those people, because those are fine professions. I have my PhD.
Word.
My name is Dr.
Word, Dr. M, flat out, straight up. And it's stuck. And it's amazing how kids just accept it. Again, they're like, he's Dr. M, and it's mad deep.
Yeah.
And so again, I mean, I took it to the next level, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago or something like that. There's a print shop in downtown Rochester. Okay. That there's a print shop. No, not downtown, but it's on University Avenue.
Okay, close
enough. The print shop. And so I just had this idea, wouldn't that be ill, son, if you made this Dr. M thing, if you put it on a black t-shirt. And so I should have brought it with me. So I meant to bring it and give you one. I have these Dr. M t-shirts.
I'll come by the house and
you know what I'm saying? So I got the black joint, right? It's black, and it got Dr. M in block letters, and above it, and I think above it as well as beneath it, right? It got red bars, right? So it's a black, red, and white T-shirt, right? It's a black T-shirt, white letters, red bars. That sort of, block it in.
For sure.
Fire. And a few times I've worked the class, and I've had white dudes in my class. Yo, that's fire. I would represent you, Dr. M. I would rock that. I've taken it off right then and there in the middle of class, giving it to some dude, and dude will have it again on his Facebook page and everything, yo, straight up. The students, I've been really blessed in that students rock with me on that level, show me love on that level, that they will straight up, sisters too.
Yeah.
Dr. M, I would wear that.
I for sure
I'm
need
like,
one.
I'm like, word, okay, and I'll go to the print shop, maybe get like a smaller size so to fit or whatever. I actually have done that. And these things cost like $20 too, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to wear my name, I mean, what is a greater honor than that? You know what I'm saying? So,
Dr. M, I definitely need one. I'll come by the house and grab it. Yeah, I definitely need one.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So straight up, the whole Dr. M thing
Yeah.
was inspired by Dr. J. Dr. M is from Dr. J. You know what I'm saying? But in my mind, like, yeah, Dr. J, he operates for real, but I'm the real doctor because I actually am a PhD. You know what I'm saying? But he's my inspiration, straight up. And again, I used to draw pictures of him all the time. He one time in junior high school, I drew like this big poster-sized version of Dr. J dunking. And and I'm nice with color pencils. Pencils.
Sure.
And I drew this like real life looking version of Dr. J. I had a picture in front of me from a magazine, and I put it on this poster board. And when I arrive at school, this is junior 3, and when I arrive at school, my good friend Maurice Coleman, who is doing great in the financial world, he's a monster. That's somebody like who you need to Google. Okay. Maurice Coleman. He's a fantastic brother, doing great things for our community back in Trenton. I think he graduated from Columbia. Anyway, so Reese, as we called him, I bring this thing to school. Reese, it blows Reese's mind. Reese takes it from me, and he's showing it all around the school. This is what he drew. And I think somebody took it. You know what I'm saying? It like disappeared. But that's how much admiration I have for Julius Erving, flat out, right? Again, yeah. So
I respect that, Dr. M.
Yeah, so straight up. I'm like, you know what? I'll be a different type of Dr. J.
Hey, you want to know something, Dr. M? You more than live up to that. I mean, it's crazy. That's the last thing I said before you started. I said that about Shaft, and now you said that about Dr. J. But yeah, Dr. M, you more than live up to that. But I'm not gonna get into that quite right yet. I'll say that to the end. But you more than definitely live up to that. Dr. M, first off, thank you. I've just been so quiet and just been so attentive because this has just been a phenomenal conversation. I've learned so much about you. I did not know. You mentioned Shaft before, but you never mentioned this whole Dr. M, Dr. J thing, like never, So a lot of this is like, like I said, I'm taking it in because I felt like I know you so well, but I feel like right now I'm not even scratching the surface. But I'm definitely going to need to grab one of them shirts. But Dr. M, let's shift gears just a tad bit.
Sure.
What I wanted to, you mentioned earlier, you said that you were used to having black men disappoint you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you said fail, so I'll use the word disappoint.
Both.
Okay, so you said that Dr. M, you said that you were used to having black men fail you in your life, from your biological father to your father, as we've already made a distinction, to the man who raised you. Dr. M, what made you want to go and study things such as black masculinity, black manhood? Some of you really know everything when it comes to black people, I would say.
I don't know everything.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Not everything, but you know a lot, a vast amount.
I know a fair amount.
Yeah, okay, a fair amount. Yeah. We'll go with that. So, I'm sorry, with all that said, Dr. M, with black men failing you in your life, what has made you go and study black masculinity and black manhood? And what makes you still continue to represent our people and through your illustrious teaching career? So I know that's a loaded question, but
I think part of why I focus on masculinity studies is that
black masculinity.
Black masculinity,
yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Dr. M.
Yes, because it not only allows me to better understand myself, but those cats too. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of, that my work in gender studies has, in a sense, become my form of personal therapy in a way. Again, if I, and although, and I want to make clear, right, is that I don't hold any animus towards, again, the biological and my father. And this is what I mean.
That's big of you.
Before I move forward, right? And this is what I mean, is that I had to deal with that somehow, right? I had to deal with that, right? Because it's trauma. I'm not gonna front. It's trauma. So I had to deal, and I needed to find forgiveness somehow, right? I needed to find forgiveness somehow and move on. And so I'm not a church goer, but I like to consider myself religious. I was raised in the AME church, and
So can you break down AME for the people who might not know?
African Methodist Episcopal,
Thank you.
founded by the great Richard Allen, way back in the day in the 18th century. And so I'm in my late 50s, and no, I back up. My mother taught me the children's prayer. Now I'm gonna lay me down to sleep. Pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die for a way, pray. So she taught me that. And I pretty much have been saying it my entire life, but I've added on to it. So before I get in bed at night, I say this elaborate prayer. First, I say the children's prayer, and then there's another part that's maybe 2-3 minutes long, right there, where I mention the people who are dear to me, near to me, as well as those who have left me. And I am 56 years old. A lot of people have left me, right? The biological is still here. Maybe, I want to say maybe at least 5 years ago, probably longer, I decided in order for me to reconcile with the trauma of him not being in my life, I had to include him in this prayer. So I invoke his name every night. God bless him. God bless. I say it every night. And that allows me to deal with it all. I mean, that's just sort of my own personal form of therapy. By invoking his name and by showing him grace, because I think that there's some things that went down between him and my mom. I don't know. That's my way of showing him some grace, but that's also me trying to help myself to move forward, because I can't possibly be the man I want to be, the husband I want to be, the father I want to be, the professor I want to be, the mentor I want to be, if I don't get beyond that. And so, again, so I say his name, and I don't think it totally erases the trauma, but it allows me to be closer to the man that I want to be. I can't be the man I want to be if I hate them, if I have animosity towards them, if I have animus towards them, because that could very well possibly affect the way that I interact with my wife and children. I have 2 sons, right? 10 and 12 years old, right? So again, in my sons, I have a chance to sort of break the chain of my neglect, right? But I can't do that if I don't show them grace, right? And if I don't give, and that if I don't give myself the opportunity to reconcile with all of that, right? And so I say his name every night. I've said his, more than 5 years. I mean, my biological, and again, it's the same prayer. And when I say to you, Cato, it's the same prayer. I've been saying the same prayer at least since graduate school. Every day, every night, it's the same prayer. No matter how I feel, no matter, right, again, how nice I'm feeling, how badly I'm feeling, again, sometimes you just want to just get in bed. I've been up all day. I've done 1,000 things. You just want to get in bed. I get on my knees and I say that prayer. It's the same prayer. It's in the same order. The only thing that changes is that people are added to it when they leave me. It's the same thing. That's my therapy. And again, I say it, and again, it's the same thing. And it has really helped me, right? And again, I think that doing that has enabled me just to be a better version of myself, and also what I do as a living helps as well, right? Again, focusing on race and gender, right? Focusing on issues of black manhood, right? Black men. I love black men. I'm a black man. You're a black man.
For
My
sure.
son, I love black men, but black men are problematic. And this is why. I'm sure that you've heard of the black feminist scholar Bell Hooks.
Yes, sir.
Right? Bell Hooks theorizes that the greatest hindrance to black men in America is that we have tried to define manhood like the oppressor. We have tried to define what it is to be a man, again, like those who once enslaved us, right? Bell Hooks says that, again, white masculinity or white patriarchal authority is based upon the premise of effing, right? That's what she says. She says again, and that's very different. Having sex and making love and doing that, she says, are entirely different things. She said black men have...
I'm sorry, I know. I just say it because I understand Dr. M is a professional. Fucking. Just
Okay.
Put it out there.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And
Sorry,
so,
Dr. M. I just want to make sure people follow along.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bell Hooks says, right, is that white patriarchal authority trying to emulate it is a trap for us because the game of white male patriarchy was not set up for us to succeed. Again, if they hold all the cards, then how can we possibly wield, again, masculine authority like them? And so Bell Hooks says, and I found this out to be true, she says that in Africa, during the era of the transatlantic slave trade, the emphasis was not on that. The emphasis was on, again, making children and rearing children. That was, again, sex was about that. Again,
Childbirth.
making and rearing children to ensure that the family, that the lineage continues. When we come over here, when we're forced over here, right, again, we see, right, is that, again, white men are, again, using the act, right, again, to subordinate people. White patriarchal authority rests upon this notion, right, is that it dominates those under, under, quote unquote, the master. The father is the master, all right? The dude who runs the plantation is the master. And under the master are his subordinates, his wife, his children, his slaves. And part of how he keeps them in line, especially with regards to the slaves, is through that act, right? It's not about sexual gratification per se. It's about wielding your authority.
And he does it through the act of fucking.
Yes, authority. And black men have been caught up in this trap, right? Is that this is how I'm going to be a man, right? I'm going to, I'm going to get with the hoes. I'm going to get with the hoes, and you don't make love to hoes, right? You don't necessarily try to build a future with hoes. You don't try to you try to F them. In a sense, then, right? In a sense, then, that's kind of how we have perceived women. Again, and I'm generalizing here, right? But too many of us get caught up in effing because effing is not connected to responsibility, right? It's not connected, again, to you trying to make sure that your child grows up in a loving, caring environment. It's not based upon that, right? It's about you, again, showing that you're virile, right? That you're in control. Again, that you can exercise mastery over women. But it doesn't come with the other types of things which make, again, the people with whom you are connected whole, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, And so again, and so you know, and so in my work, right? I think that I better understand those cats, right? You know what I'm saying? Again, the biological and the father, and like so many black men, and even myself, you get caught up in this sort of idea, right? Is that being a man is about, tapping this and tapping that, right? Which could lead to consequences, right? You making babies that you're not prepared, again, to take care of. And then what happens, of course, right? You may end up not, yes. And so I've used my work not only to shed light on our experience, on our unique experience, right? Our trials, our tribulations, right? Our empowerment, our resistance, but I think I've used my work to help me just be a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Just to be a good dude.
Yes, sir.
Straight up, just to be solid as a man, right? And my work, I think, has allowed me to proudly say I have a really healthy relationship with my wife. I pray that my sons feel that they're being raised in a loving, caring environment, and actually that my relationship with them is totally different than the one I had with my father. It's just different, right? Because part of my mind says, and it's going to sound crazy, part of my mind says is that kinda, if I do everything opposite of what they did, I'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Literally, right? And part of that, right, is that my father, he liked to go out, right? Because, that whole shaft thing, black men got caught up in that with the leather and the turtleneck and the brim hat, you know what I'm saying? Getting into your your Cadillac, your El Dorado, or whatever it is you're driving. And you know what I'm saying? That whole persona, you know what I'm saying? That whole Mac thing. And so the shaft thing, I think it was empowering to black men, but also really detrimental because some dude actually really tried to emulate it, right? And Shaft, right? Shaft gets with whomever. You can't be Shaft while you're a married man. You can't be Shaft while you're raising sons. Raising children. Again, it doesn't work, right? And I saw that with my own eyes. Again, that movie is near and dear to me, but I look at it, I appreciate it, and use it for different types of things. Certainly. Mainly stylistic things and attitude. And attitude. Shaft gave black men attitude back in the day that I would say that they needed, right? But again, everything in moderation.
Certainly.
Even Shaft. You know what I'm saying? Some dudes are OD'ing on Shaft, they're gonna take it to the max. Yeah. And you cannot be a responsible father and husband if you're moving in a way that's detrimental to you, again.
To your family structure.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Understandable. And so I've used black men as fuel, but I have also used them to make better choices, I think. Straight up, right? Again. I've had some healthy, lots of healthy interactions with black men, right? But and I'm talking about the men in my family. I'm talking about professors in college and in graduate school. Issues, this mad issues, and I think what I've done. Actually, my sense of humor and storytelling comes from my father. He was a factory worker. He was a part-time policeman type of thing. He was the funniest dude I've ever met. He would tell you stories. He would tell you stories that would have you, when he was in that mood, the house would be so joyous and so wonderful, right? When he was that dude, he's the funniest guy like ever. And not only would he tell you these outrageous stories, right? He would be like clever about it. And then sometimes you would have to like stop and think and pause, like, yo, is that what that dude actually said? You know what I'm saying? And you would fall out. And I get that from him. I believe that. So it's like anything else. You take the good and the bad from people, right? You know, and so again, because I know that he brought a type of laughter to our household that just made you feel good about yourself. And then again, that there were moments when things were peaceful, things were smooth, things were calm. You felt like life was opulent, right? When he was in that mood. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I have, maybe if I am in a position to be more in charge of my career, right, my body, right, because he worked all the time. He worked hard. I also got that from him. He held 2-3 jobs most of the times, right? And he had a tremendous work ethic. That was him, right? But having a lot of jobs doesn't necessarily mean that you are in control of your life.
Not at all. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially if you're working 3 other jobs for 3 people.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, but it took me a while to come to that type of understanding, right? You know, and maybe some of his behaviors was based upon, right, is that was him trying to seize back some controls, some type of autonomy in his life. Maybe if I pursue some kind of profession that would allow me to have that autonomy that he didn't have, then maybe I end up being a different type of dude. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I always watch the older black men around me. I just do. Because there's always wisdom there. There's always lessons to take from those cats. Again, there's this one Richard Pryor skit where he plays this fictitious character called Mudbone. Right? And Mudbone, right, he's this old man who tells fascinating stories. Mudbone says something like, you don't get to be old being no fool, you know what I'm saying? Because he's talking in that dialect. You don't get to be old to be no fool. I ain't no fool. You know what I'm saying? Many young wise men dead than the motherfucker. That's what he said. That's what he said. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to be old being no fool. You know what I'm saying? Because of course the young cats are coming at him. You know what I mean? Like, no. You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so, I watch brothers. I watch especially the old heads, but the younger cats like yourself too. I watch y'all closely. Sure. And I am literally processing data. That's what I call it. I look at the way brothers move. I look at what they say, right, how they dress, what they're into. And my mind processes that data. And that data, right, it becomes part of who I am. Sure. So I like to think that I've taken all of the best parts from my father because there were good parts to him, great parts to him. Sure. I like to think that I have, and in that way, right, because that man, again, he worked, right? He worked, he was a provider. Although towards the end of my life, especially when I'm in graduate school, right, the love and the support was not there because, again, I'm eating ramen noodles and boosting stuff and doing all types of stuff to stay in that game, right? And so you say, right, okay, I got you. I got you. Now I send you something. And it doesn't happen. Then after a while, you become jaded. And then you're like, you know what? Got you. I'm not even going to mess with you anymore. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've reached that point with him. And before he and I could reconcile, he passed, right? He passed. The last conversation I had with him that I remember it vividly, my brother Troy, basically, while I'm still in graduate school. My brother Troy basically kind of defected from the family. He kind of left. And like, I don't want to get into all of that, but I'm home at break. I'm home at break. And I forget, maybe it's Christmas break. I'm home on break, and I'm angry with him. I'm mad at him, right? Because I'm trying to pursue a PhD. I'm doing, this thing is hard. This thing is hard, and why are you not helping me? And he calls the house. I pick up the phone, and I say, hello? And he says, hey, it's me. And I know who he is. I said, who? And he breathes, it's Charles. I'm like, oh, yeah. What's going on? I regret that to this day. You know what I'm saying? He's like, Charles, that is the last conversation my father and I had, right? Because then I passed the phone off to my mom. They talk about my brother with her. It's the last one. So we never had a chance to sort of reconcile things, right? He passed. Yeah, it's crazy. Deep stuff, man. My wife says all the time, you should be in therapy. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But I pray every night, say his name. And so, you know, I'm living up here, I'm teaching, I got kids, I got responsibility. When he passed, I had to drop everything and go bury my father. I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Despite everything. My mother and I made sure that he had a proper burial, although her and I had beef with him. You know what I'm saying? We made sure, because my brother Troy was nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. So, right, the biological son is nowhere to be found. The second son is the one who makes sure that you put in the ground right. That's how life is sometimes.
The irony.
You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is.
That's real.
And so I am very conscious of making sure that I stay tight with my boys, right? Because my boys, they adore me. I'm not even gonna front. My boys adore me, right? Right. And I be on them sometimes too, yo. I be on them. But there's hugs, literally kisses every day. Especially my youngest son, he's really affectionate. And, you know, he has no issues. He's comfortable with his. He'll come up, kiss you in the mouth, he'll hug you, whatever. And even if sometimes he's like, nope. You know what I'm saying? That's how he is. So my sons, right, and have, you know, what's interesting, right, is that kind of what I didn't have as fathers, I have in my sons. I get to, again.
Kind of be a kid again through them.
Yeah, you know, I get to be the father that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I get to be the father that I wanted. And they get to be me. You know? And so, you know, right, what would, you know what I'm saying, you know, what's the kind of dad that Kenny would have liked? Kenny would have needed some structure. Kenny would have needed somebody getting that behind, which he did, you know what I'm saying, sometimes, right? But Kenny would also need it, probably some hugs, probably some kisses, probably some affirmation about his art, or, you know what I'm saying, or like whatever he was into, I make sure that they get that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm like, you know, my oldest son, who's really obsessive compulsive, and you know, when he likes something, he really sticks with it for the longest time. And so my wife and I are like, yo, when is he gonna like give this up? But that's what he's into. So you gotta rock with him.
Sure.
That's what he's into. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, dad. You know, this is what I'm doing, dad. And sometimes you're like, dude, I'm trying to write a speech. I'm I'm trying to write a lecture. I need to check my email. You have to give them your attention.
Have to.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Life is pain and glory. It really is.
I'm gonna tell you something, Doctor. My bad, man, because it just reminds me a lot of me and my pops. You know, like your story or like your situation. But I'm gonna tell you something, Doctor. Your son was your father. Your father, did he pass away before your son was born? Or excuse me, how old was your? Oh, he did.
No, Julius.
How old was he?
Julius was around, but he was a baby. He's a baby, and so like they never got to meet him.
When Julius get old enough for you to really tell him that story and for him to really understand it retrospectively, because like I said, he was a baby when it happened. He's gonna respect and appreciate that part about you probably more than anything. And I'm speaking from experience. Because even though I'm Cato the third and I wear that proudly, Cato the first was not there. For me or my father for that matter. I've never even seen the man in person. The only time I ever seen him, I was about 15. I seen a photo. So, I don't want to make this about me, but my father, I got a call when I was about 16. I was like going into like my senior, I was like in like either my junior year or going into my senior year high school. And Dad was like, yeah, man, like I just want you to know like your granddaddy passed away. And I didn't know who the fuck he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'd just be honest. He was like, yeah, man. He was like, you know, your granddaddy passed away. I'm like, oh, I'm like, damn. All right, shit. I'm sure millions of other people died today. So, you know, that's kind of how I felt. But my dad, I was like, oh, Pops, well, you know, sorry, Narda, that's sorry nigga. Like, that's kind of how I felt, you know? And I had the right to feel that way. I personally felt that way, you know, I had the right to feel that way. But my dad actually went down there, gave him a couple $, flew down to Florida where he was, met all of his brothers and everything like that, and you know, seen his father off. My dad seen his father once in high school, and then he called one time when my dad was away on what he likes to call his vacation, if you pick up what I'm putting down. And he called one time when my dad had got knocked out while, you know what I'm saying, on his vacation, like a door hit him in the head when he was moving something. His father called and checked on him then. That was it. So anyways, Doctor, I've had I said all that to say this, I had a newfound respect for my father when my dad flew down there, gave a couple $, towards the funeral, and seen him off. I had a newfound respect for him. So I say that to say this, Doctor, your children, Julius and I don't know the other ones. Vaughn. Julius and Vaughn. And they're gonna see this when they get older. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure that they do it. But
I don't know if we want them to be like, yo, he wilding out right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, when they see this, when they get older, and they can really understand it, that's gonna be one of the defining moments where they really respect you. And I'm sure that you've done plenty of things to garner their respect, so I'm not saying that. But that's gonna be one of the key things, making sure that your father went and he had a proper burial, especially after all the tumultuous relationship that you guys had and all the tribulation and everything. I'm telling you, that's gonna be when Julius and Vaughn can fully understand it, guarantee you that's gonna be something that they really respect about you.
I appreciate you saying it, man.
I'm speaking from experience. Because even though me and my dad didn't really get along till about the last year and a half, 2 years, even though me and him didn't really quite get along rather more recently, when I was 16 years old and my dad went down to Florida all the way from Atlanta, flew down there for 4 or 5 days to go and make sure that his father had a proper burial, even though this man, he ain't never seen this man, it was a newfound respect for my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do it. I mean, because
I felt you on a different level when you said that. I felt you on a different level.
You know, he basically took me in and he raised me as his own, the best that he could. I gotta give him that. Yeah. Which is why, again, you know what I'm saying, I'm sort of somewhat tormented by that last conversation, right? Because that just made this. And it's not in me to be mean like that either. It just isn't. You know what I'm saying? Because usually I'm just better than that. And in that one instance, you know, my bitterness just got the better of me. And to this day, I wish it hadn't happened. And you know, the biological, that thing is deep too. I have no recollection of him. I was told that the last time I saw him, I was 5. because I have a lot of family who live in New York City. So a lot of times, right, my moms would load my brother Troy and me in the car, right, like a little car, and we would zoom on to New York, Queens and Brooklyn mainly. And so my Aunt Louise, right, she lived in South Ozone Park in Queens. And I guess the long story short is that her husband, my Uncle Eddie, and my biological are cousins. They're cousins. And that's how they met, my mother and the biological. So I'm told that when I was 5, while we were visiting my auntie and my cousins, the biological was there. And I guess he gave me some money. And when we come back to Trenton, I let the world know that I had some money. My father says, where do you get the money? He asked my mom, so where can he get the money? And so she says, from him. I'm raising his son. He's my son. And I don't want you to take him around that man again. She did it. She did it. So that's the last time I'm told I saw him. I was 5, and I have no recollection of that. Now, the last time I heard him was really deep. The last time I heard him, heard his voice. I'm grown now. I'm probably mid-30s. Mid-30s. I'm home visiting, and actually this time, I might either have the PhD or I'm close to getting it. And one day I'm home during the summertime, the phone rings and my mom, and so the phone rings, my mom picks it up, she says, Kenny, pick up the phone. I'm like, all right, I pick up the phone. The voice on the other end says, you know who this is? I said, yeah, man, I know who this is. It was him. And that told me that him and my mom, right, they spoke from time to time. I didn't know that. Yeah. He's like, and I'm like, okay. And he must have said it like 10 times. You sound like a big man. He was trying to wrap his head, I guess he's trying to wrap his head around my voice. You sound like a big man. And in my mind, what you think? I'm like 36. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
What you mean? You sound like a grown man.
He's like 40. He kept saying, you sound like a big man. You sound like a big man. I'm like, yeah, I'm a grown behind man. And he was trying to wrap his head around that, right? That the dude he saw at 5 has this voice on the other end. And he says something like, you know, because where my mom lived at the time, she lived by Princeton. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, although he lived in NYC, I guess he worked for some sort of like delivery company that would make deliveries to Princeton or whatever. So he's like, I'm going to be in Princeton like the next day. I'm going to come by and see you. He didn't ask. I'm going to come by and see you. I'm like, all right. I knew that dude wasn't coming. Because what was he going to say to me? You know, I mean, what was he going to say to that voice on you know, the other end of the phone? Like, what was he going to say to that cat? Yeah. That cat is full blown roll, right? I got degrees attached to my name. I have a whole life I'm living that you have nothing to do with. Now, he would have had some mad heart if he would have done it. So I wasn't wasting my breath. And of course he never showed. So that's the last time I spoke to him. So that's probably like 20 years ago. You know, and that's all he kept saying. And now, so he has I believe 5 children. Lord, right? He made 5 children. Me, Tracy, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of us. And
you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. I'm first. And so I haven't met them all. I've met three. So there's me, I have three sisters and a brother. I've never met the brother before. I met the one sister, the youngest sister. Her and I did a FaceTime several years ago, and she was trying to wrap her head because, according to her, she didn't know that I existed. And she was trying to wrap her head around it, seeing that if I actually looked like him or not. I'm like, whatever, you bugging, you know. The other two sisters, Tracy and Keisha, I met them when I was in college, and I became, and they're both, you know, I mean, it's just the 80s. They both fly, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with the hip hop girls with the bamboo jewelry, with the hairstyle, looking like MC Light, but even cuter. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, my sisters was fly, and so, you know, so I have relationships with them. The one who I was really, 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 really close with, Keisha, she died 2 Octobers ago.
Sorry.
A very bad relationship, and so her and I would talk, and so her home situation wasn't great, you know, with with her man and whatever, and so so we talked. Most of our conversations was when she was at work, right, and while I'm driving home from Oswego, and I'm leaving campus, going home, you know, to Rochester, right? Because that's like an hour, 20-minute commute. So we had this relationship that just made me feel full, right? That I was and I was tight with my other sister Tracy too, but not like that because we just talked all the time. Keisha took my secrets to the grave because I could confide in her in ways you can't confide like anyone. She knew everything. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like I had this conversation with her, right? But in parts, sort of, and over a long period of time. Because she was cool, like a dude like that, right? And she had a relationship with the biological, right? And I respected that. And she would always refer to him as daddy. So we're talking daddy this, daddy that. I have no connection, but I'm not, I always respected that connection. And just before she died, she said something eerie to me. I'm driving home, and we're talking, and I think she's tired, right? Because she has a lot on her plate. She has some underlying health issues. She said, "You're mad at daddy." That's what she said. She said, "You're mad at daddy." And in my mind, I don't even know this. I don't even know him. What you talking about? You mad at daddy? I'm like, Keisha, you bugging. I'm like, the hell you mad at him? And she died shortly after we kind of had that exchange. And maybe she was trying to tell me something about that dude. And that although, right, in my mind, I'm trying to reconcile all of that. I believe that I reconciled some of that. Maybe I haven't fully reconciled that, right? Because she was using her sense of intuition, right, to be like, there might be some unresolved things there, brother, right? I think that if she was in a better state of mind, that if she was more lucid, she probably would have said something to that, but she just kept saying, like, you're mad at daddy, Kenny. It's like, I don't even know him. We don't even talk about him. I don't talk badly about him.
She doesn't know.
I don't know, dude. So yeah, so I got siblings. I don't know. I've lost one already. Yeah, man, life, man.
Very hard.
I came down with cancer in 2015. I think the result of all that strife and struggle coming up in Trenton, and then the rigors of graduate school, living hard like that, and then as a starting professor, I was living with derelicts because I didn't have any money. There was nobody to support me. I couldn't turn to anybody for help. So as a professor, you're right. I'm teaching at Worcester State College in Worcester, Massachusetts. Right, that's my first job, and I'm living in Section 8 housing, where and my apartment was beautiful, but the hallway looked like it was bombed out. There's derelicts, drug addicts, all people probably hiding from the authorities. All types of mugs are in this building. There's mice. After a while, mice come. I mean, that's my come up, right? I had to survive all of those things. And then, of course, once you get to Oswego, teaching on that lake, it's a beast, brother. Teaching on that lake with that demographic, that's a whole nother thing too. Lord have mercy.
Is this really where it is
you
for
know
me?
What I'm saying? It's real out there, yo. And then, you get tenure and everything else. And then after I finally thought I had it together, right? Right? I bought a house. I have tenure.
Yep.
I have a baby son. My book is out.
Yep.
You got it lined up. I'm like 44-ish. Boom. Yeah. My life finally gets together. 44. I finally get it lined up at 44. A couple years later, boom. Got a big knot on my wrist. Got a sarcoma. Got cancer. And the only thing that I can attribute that to was, the if they say, right, is that stress, right? Is that stress can compromise your health in very significant, impactful ways. I'm like, where does that come from? I just think that my journey, right, that hardcore, grimy journey, dealing with the forces around you, I think it manifested itself and blew up in my wrist. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And I was scared too, because I'm like, man, you brought life into this world. I'm like, come on, dude. So, thank the Lord, right? I'm good. I seemingly beat it. It's been a journey, brother. It's been a serious journey.
Dr. Elm, thank you so much just for listening to you. I'm so inspired. I relate to your story in so many ways. And, Dr. Elm, I don't know if you necessarily have heard this recently, but I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, brother.
Very proud
Likewise. Of you. I'm telling you, this is what you're doing in this format. This is your show. Yes. Again, I didn't know what the hell to expect from this. I'm like, what the hell Cato talking about? Like, the hell he talking about? I'm thinking that we're going to be sitting in some little room and maybe, I don't know, you got me mic'd up in some sort of ghetto way. I'm just sorry. You know what I'm saying? And maybe like there's a computer screen or something and we having a conversation. We're in a straight up studio. I've never done anything like this in my life. No one has ever said to me, right, I have a show and I deem your show worthy enough to share with a larger audience. So
Thank you, Dr.
This has been incredibly humbling, right? I'm like, damn, I'm like saying to myself, damn, son. I mean, look how smooth I am. I'm geared out and everything. I'm like, you made it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I love your format in that I could just let it out, you know what I'm saying? Which is what you said, but like you just don't know how that's gonna go until you're here, right?
I always tell all my partners, man, you talk to me.
Yeah,
you talk to me. I don't give a damn what it is. You talk to me.
Yeah, so this has been cool. And yeah.
Well, Dr. This ain't over yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question, Dr.
Uh-oh, you got another one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question. Dr. What's the nicest gift you ever received from a student? If you could talk about it.
Nicest.
Yeah, anything come to mind? Or most thoughtful, we'll go with that.
Wow.
You've been teaching for 20 years, 21.
Yeah, actually, I've received a lot of nice gifts. I'm very blessed to have this truly dynamic, racially inclusive rapport.
Yes, sir.
with students, right? And I like to think, right, that it's due to how I teach my classes,
Yes,
right?
for sure.
I teach with urgency, passion.
Yes.
I'm trying to help you to transform your lives. So, I'm speaking harsh truths, but as you know, I wild out in class. I try to make the environment as inclusive as possible.
Hilarious.
And I have been rewarded in my work by students I carry around. Before I answer your question, I have like this binder folder thing, you know what I'm saying, where like I have all my classes set up in. And on the front pocket, I have all of these letters, notes, cards, thank yous from students, mainly women who are black, who are white, who are Indian, who are Asian, these cards. And it's this collection of just love in this pocket in my folder that I literally carry around with me. But I can't. But I have received some tremendous gifts. The only one that comes to my mind at the moment comes from a white female student. Her name is Emily Palumbo. Emily took 203 with you. She might even been in that class with you, like when you took it. I'm not sure, but she took 203. And then eventually she took my class in blaxploitation. And she loved that class so much, although the content is ill. You know what I'm saying? Ill meaning is this off the chain. It's great for those of you who don't know what ill means, for sure. And then she wanted to be my TA, my teaching assistant.
For sure.
And so she was a TA. She loved blaxploitation so much, I think that she was a TA for that class 2 semesters in a row, 2 times. Although it meets during, it meets in the spring. So she did it 2 springs, and she was great at it. And at the end, and before she graduated, she gave me a gift because I talked so much about how, I want to retire when I'm about 65, 66, right? I'm always talking about retiring in my 60s. And after I retire, I want to go back to art school. That's what I want to do, right? Because, again, it's always because I never finished that.
You're still nice with it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm nice with it anymore, but I put it on the back burner to pursue this other thing for the sake of making money, which has allowed me to live a pretty decent life and make contributions over the song. I never finished the art thing. And I talk about it. And so she gave me, right, as a gift, before she graduated, she gave me this little bag. And it had like some easels in it and some paintbrushes and some watercolors, a really nice set of colored pencils and some pads so I could draw. She heard me.
Shout out to
she gave me that.
Shout out to
You know what I'm
Miss
saying?
Palumbo.
I mean, flat out, she won and actually I need to call her. I haven't spoken to her in a minute. She gave me that. So that's one of the nicest. Oh, now that I'm thinking, I have there's another TA I've had who's worked with me several times, numerous times, probably my greatest TA ever. Her name is Zaya Myers. I think you probably know Zaya. Zaya also took
Great woman.
203, and then she took my upper division classes, and she loves U.S. history since 1865, history to us so much. I think she's been the TA for that class, even long distance. She's not even on site right now. Maybe 5 times.
Jesus.
And 2 years ago, I think when she was BSU president, Black Student Union president at Oswego, she gave me, her and I took a picture, right? At its annual dinner, right? She was dressed up, in ways I had never seen her before, right? And I was wearing my gear, and we took this picture together, and she put it in this really nice frame, right? That's now on my shelf in my office.
Yeah.
And I look at her, I get to see her like all the time. That ranks up there high as well.
Well, Dr. M, real quick, just because we do got to wrap up soon.
Sure.
I got to step my game up. I can't necessarily compete with Emily and Zaya, unfortunately. But I did take the liberty. My show was all about appreciating people and giving people their flowers. So.
Are you serious?
What I decided to do,
Wow.
Dr. At first, let me make myself abundantly clear. Let me get these up out of here first. I think I got a vase on you, though. Gotta be careful. Thank you, Dr. All about giving people their flowers, Dr.
Yo, are you serious?
Yep, all about giving people their flowers. So, Dr. Let me make sure the camera can see me. I've told you this before, and over the phone and in person, but I want to make sure that I get on this camera and tell you this right now. I'm actually looking to the camera. Dr. M, you have been, I'm gonna look at you and the camera. You have inspired me in more ways than I think probably almost any other human being ever has. As I said before, I really do not like the structure of how Black people are taught history in America. We even live in a country right now where there's governors that are trying not to teach kids about slavery, which is ridiculous. But anyways, Dr. M, I do not like the way that Black people are taught history. And when I came into your class and you were just so unapologetically in love and so enamored and so you took honor in teaching everybody, not just Black people, but everybody in their Black history. And you did it in such a way that was artistic and poetic and precise and hilarious at times. Your class, as I said before, in these history books, we might learn about Ruby Bridges, how she was the first Black girl to go to desegregate schools or go to like an all-white school, but essentially, this is how they kind of paint our history. And I told you this off camera, but, Black people, there was slavery going on and, eventually 1865, Abraham Lincoln signed a law in order because he, felt like, slavery wasn't necessarily beneficial to the Union, started the Civil War. Skip over that. We get to about 1955. We have Dr. Martin Luther King. What organization was he a part of? The Southern SN.
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, but he's also part of, in 1955,
yes, he's
part of the Montgomery Improvement Association. That's the association under which the Montgomery bus boycott was launched.
Thank you, Dr. M. So we got Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He eventually comes and he does great work. He was inspired by a leader from India named Gandhi, and he was murdered in Memphis in 1964-65. And then, 1968 schools were desegregated, and now America's just this big, happy country. That's essentially how we were taught our history. And Dr. M, I said all that to say this. I'll go ahead and wrap this up. When I went into your class, and I said this before, I'm going to say it in the camera, Dr. Kenneth Marshall's class taught me how to love myself, how to appreciate my heritage, how to appreciate my people, and overall, it taught me the beauty of being Black. And that is a very powerful thing to teach a young man from the P's, the projects. A very powerful thing. From the hood, rather. We'll go with that. P's kind of weren't really in it. Those was going out of Atlanta, I think, before I was born. But yes, a young man from the hood. That is very powerful for you to teach me, Dr. M. And I know for a fact, you said that you go to college in order to transform. And I transform mightily in your class. And you, to me, as I said before, and I know you don't like taking this, but I gotta say it, you to me are one of the most genius scholars of all time. I put you in the same rankings, and I know you don't put yourself in there, but I put you in the same rankings as Du Bois, as Douglass, as Frederick Douglass, as Kwame Nkrumah, as John Brown Russwurm, Henry Highland Garnett. I put you right up there with them. So that's the way I feel. And that's how I'm always gonna feel. But anyways, Dr. M, I got more to say. I said all that to say this. I got more to say is about giving people their flowers. And I know I speak for 23 years, thousands of students, when I say that you have been nothing but a blessing and beneficial to our lives, and you have done nothing but made us better men, women, and others. So Dr. M, I present these flowers to you.
Wow. Thank you, man. This is very nice. This is incredible.
Yes, sir.
Actually, these are beautiful. And in front of all these people too. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Seriously.
No problem at all, Dr. M.
Seriously.
You deserve those. You earn those. And we appreciate you, Dr. M. And we thank you so much for all your years of service. I got you, Doc.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for all your years of service, Doc. And we thank you so much just for all of the hard work and all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. I thank you for teaching me my history. I thank you for teaching me to appreciate my history. I thank you for teaching me about leaders outside of Martin Luther King Jr. and LeBron James. I thank you for showing me the value of education. I thank you for being a confident black man. I thank you for being a black man that is successful and and really understands success. That's what I thank you for, Dr. I thank you for being a black man that don't have to, go and pick up a basketball or pick up a microphone, although I have love and respect for those professions. I thank you for that. And you
I don't know what to say.
It's okay, Dr.
Thank you, brother.
No problem at all, Dr. But those flowers are for you, and you deserve them.
Thank you.
Yes. And one thing I always
How much you spend on those, man?
Oh, man, Dr. We ain't gonna
Come on, man. What you doing? You don't got no money, baby. You know what I'm saying? Buying me flowers, man. But I appreciate it, though.
Got you, Dr.
Metal camera. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Seriously. I did not know that I was going to have this much fun.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so I don't think that I was always necessarily polished, because a lot of times I was just speaking from my mind and speaking from my heart, so it came out the way it came out.
For sure.
But it was good to support you.
Thank you, Dr.
I'm really proud of you. And this was good for me I actually got some things off my chest in a very public way.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you have me back, because there's more things we got to talk about.
For sure.
We haven't even gotten to my shorty of 21 years.
Yeah, like I said,
so
soon, Dr. Don't you worry. We're going to make it happen. Matter of fact, we might have to get you a special birthday episode.
Oh, wow.
We may have to. We might have to plan that for next month.
April 9th, 1967, when it all happened.
Well, Dr. you mentioned it. You said that we got more to talk about, and the name of the show is called I Got More to Say. So we definitely going to make that happen.
I am Dr. Kenneth Marshall, a.k.a. Dr. M. Return, because my man Cato and I, we have much more to say.
Got you, Dr. M. Thank you again for coming on the show. Appreciate you. This is Dr. M. I'm Cato, and as always, I got more to say.